Gentlemen, we are ready to begin. Welcome to the Village Board meeting. It is Thursday, July 30th at 6 p.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. And Sue. Brad, our clerk administrator, would you please do the roll call and open meeting compliance? I am here.
Trustee Swan.
Present.
Trustee Finch.
Present.
Trustee Newman.
Here.
Trustee Millies.
Here.
This meeting is noticed and posted according to law.
Thank you, Brad. Board members, I just wanted you to know that items 5A and B are going to be tabled to August 17th. So I'd make a motion to table those two items to August 17th, 2023. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second. Discussion. I just want to tell the board that the person is unable to make this meeting or the next meeting. So discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any public comments, Sue or Ward? There are no public comments. Thank you, Brad. Note that for the record. Thank you, Brad. Board members, also, you saw the email in regards to an invoice 7341. Unfortunately, that person is still unemployed. He has a current agreement with the board to pay $50 a month, and he mentioned he's made payments, but he hasn't
made any payment,
right. Hasn't made any payments. And when he sent that email, I felt terrible reading that email, and I wanted to ask the board if they wanted to either reduce the amount or when he gets employed. I hate to see him do what he's doing to pay a bill. That's
Well,
just my opinion.
it's a sob story. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know how much validity is in it. The original,
Court case?
yeah, that was like a year and a half, almost, yeah, at least a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like for $98,000 was what he was getting billed for because he didn't take care of the
Zoning violation?
zoning violation. Then came in with one sob story. We reduced the amount down to like
4,500.
4,500.
From 98,000.
From 98,000 down to 4,500. He agreed to pay in payments. Never happened. Went back to court again. He never showed up. So of course, the judge ruled against him in our favor, so he owes us, he still owes us. And to this day, he has not paid a penny. Even though several times now, he has promised to pay. Like I say, I don't know what the validity of his financial state is.
I mean, everything you said was
Taxes
correct.
every year?
I didn't check his taxes. I know he mentioned his wife has some income because of a disability. And like I said, when I read that, I thought, oh my God, and he has not made any payments. He does have a garnishment there is a garnishment against the property.
So if the property's sold.
And I'm
money?
not sure at this point if it's the 98,000 or the 4,500. That's something I'll have to check into.
Yeah, I think we're still, I think we'd still be happy with the 4,500.
Oh, yeah.
But I, for one, wouldn't be inclined to lower it. 90,000 to 45, I think, was a pretty good deal.
Right.
Now, I thought in the past, I don't know, Dylan, if you were there on the board, we had talked about putting it on his tax bill.
I thought the attorney said we could not do that.
I don't remember how that discussion came out, but that was the only other alternative I thought we had.
Yeah, like I said, when he sent that, not that I would ever take away the bill, I just wondered if if he'd ever get employed. I mean, obviously, he says, and I don't know if there's any way of proving that, he said he's not been employed since, I mean, he wasn't employed when we took him to court either.
Right, and that was the reason why he didn't or couldn't make any
Right.
payments. I don't know how you can sit for over a year or two without being employed at all.
Right?
You know, I don't know what his health is like either, you know, if that's part of his problem or not.
Right, I didn't ask any of those questions, I just
Yeah.
thought, when he sent the email, I should at least show the board what he said. And if there's, like I said, not saying that he should not pay his bill, but, is there, I hate to say, predicated on employment because he hasn't been employed for years. I don't really know what to do. And if you want, if the board, we could just let this go, and when we're at a staff meeting and John's there, we could put this on the staff agenda and,
That's
because
probably a good idea.
there was a lot of
Are
board,
we charging interest on this 4,500 or anything?
none of
or
our,
No,
Late fees or?
none of our bills.
nothing.
None of our bills have interest. The only ones that have interest fees are,
Can we do that?
I'm sorry, you'd have to change the ordinance. The only ones by state statute are personal property tax that have a 1.5% interest for non-payment, but that's something we can talk about at staff too.
You'll-
Good questions for John then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only drawback to putting it on his tax bill is he can't pay it,
In payments, right?
he's not gonna pay it on the tax bill either, right? I mean, if he doesn't have any money, he doesn't have any money.
But it's a precedence thing.
The village would be,
Exactly, that's,
Yeah, the village would pay it because we,
the county would pay us in county.
Right.
On the sale of the house or put a lien on the house.
yeah.
another lien. And I'll check on that too before staff to see if the lien is for the 98 or the 4,500.
Yeah, and $50 a month. Does not
We did.
Sound like very much money. to
It
me.
was like originally 100 or 200 a month he thought he
And the
could
board
do.
reduced it to 50.
And then he didn't pay for a couple of months, and then he came back and asked for,
$50.
to
And they still,
lower.
it still doesn't pay.
Right,
That way too, if people have questions for John that weren't here when this all transpired, we can, is that agreeable to the board? We'll put this on the next staff meeting. Got that?
I'd be interested in, an interest charge if, maybe not super aggressive, but something where it's like, all right, we'll give you, if you don't start making payments in 6 months, then we're gonna start charging interest or
Right.
something like that. But you said we have to change an ordinance.
Right, right.
Well, at $50 a month, that's like 8 years if you pay every month. I mean,
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
without the interest, yeah, it's just,
yeah.
So does that sound good to the board that we'll put on the next staff meeting? Then we can ask John all those fun questions. We'll also talk about changing we'll talk about, interest. Because we would have made a lot of interest on that big cell tower bill. Lots, but. So, okay, gentlemen, so now we are moving on financial reports for January of 2023 through June. We're just finishing the reconciliation of February, and then we'll move on to March. So that's where we're at on that process. And then we're going to talk about that a little bit, when we have our finance meeting. When we get to it, we'll talk about that. So just wanted to let you know, Brad's been getting a ton of information to the auditor, and so have I. And as soon as she's got everything done, she will do the amending to the Form C.
Yep, what we found.
Brad, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think she has all our financial stuff for the last 2 weeks about, and so she's been, going at that, and so now it's just kind of the odds and ends where they'll start with ask to, for us to pull invoices or things like that, so it's now just kind of down to the nitty gritty stuff, but I still think they probably still have 2-3 weeks worth of
Yeah.
ahead of them. It's,
And she'd like to get it done by July because she's got a massive project, and so we're trying to get this stuff to her as fast as we can. So just so you know that we're making progress, but with being so far behind, it's we're getting there. Sound good? And then I think this was a typo on the 2020-24 that should have been budget, not audit process. So at the next finance meeting, the 2020-24 audit process will be great. Right, Yeah. And then, like I said, when we meet for our finance meeting, we'll go over all those little fun things. So at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint Jeff Millies, Gary Finch, and Karen Shuve to a 2-year term on the Vernon Finance Committee from April 30th, 2023 to April 30th, 2025. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second to the motion? Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the, oops, yes, Jim?
Do we have anybody else already assigned to it?
Tom, Tomasek, and Dylan. So we have the 5 members, and then whenever, I hope whenever we have a finance meeting, we'll do a village board and finance. That way, Jim, if you can make it, great. And then we'll discuss, I have a whole, like an agenda I kind of wanted to go through on the next agenda item, but I'll get through this item first. Any further discussion, Jim? All in favor of the motion? Oh, Gary?
We can vote for ourselves?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. The next agenda item is establishing a meeting date for the Village Board and Finance Committee meeting. I already talked to Tom, and he's on board, like to be there, but I just need a date and a time that's conducive for board members. If days aren't good for you or afternoons aren't good, whatever works for the board is what I'd like to do.
What are we looking for? Are we trying to do it after you finish?
No, we want to meet.
reconciliations or
We want to
soon?
meet next week.
Oh, okay.
Want to meet next week. I just want a game plan. Back off to
Mornings are never good for me. Afternoons or evenings are.
afternoons are
Afternoons
okay.
are actually best. but-
Jim,
Anytime's fine during the day.
Gary, Dylan. I want to be.
I can make anytime not Tuesday or Friday after 4.
Now, Jim, Tom Tomasek said Wednesday was really good for him.
Wednesday would be good for me too.
Now, and it would be in the afternoon, Jim. Does that conflict with nights for you? Nights of Columbus, the 26th?
If we do it in the day, though.
Okay. So how, Brad, 26 work for you?
Sure.
Jim, Gary, what do you think? 1 o'clock, 1:30?
1 o'clock?
Wednesday, the 26th?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Is it 1 o'clock okay, or 1:30? What's better?
Everyone's fine.
Jeff,
Doesn't matter.
Gary? Okay, let's do 1 o'clock. Brad, so it'll be a village board and finance committee meeting on the 26th at 1 o'clock. And like I said, we're not gonna go through budget numbers and stuff because we don't really have those, but, just want to Brad's got some reports, I've got some reports. Just want to back out when I would like to have the budget adopted, how you'd like to see things proceed, all that fun stuff in the budget. Right, Jim?
So it should be a quick meeting.
Yes, yes. So,
Better than the other one.
yeah. All in favor of the motion for establishing a date for the Finance Committee to Wednesday, the 26th at 1 PM? I'll make that motion. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Brad, we got this on the agenda because this came up that we wanted to put the water monitoring for the Village of Vernon. As Brad stated, the DPW guys are doing the water level monitoring, and I'm trying to locate that information. I also contacted the company that did the tests before. They're doing some information, because what I'd like to get from them is all the statistical information that they had before, and then get that to the board, and then ask the board. I also contacted the company that did the tests previously, and back then it was $50 a test, but I'm not 100% sure. Jim, I hate to interrupt you. Do you know, when you guys did that, did you do it for more than just like a cursory? Was it a pretty in-depth water test as far as drinking capabilities and arsenics and all that fun stuff?
It was a really good test.
Right. So, and unfortunately, we only have $500 in this year's budget for that, and the guys will go out and fall and do another water grab, which they have done. And what I'd like to do is try to get that information to the board, and then when we go through the budget, our next budget, Absolutely. If the board, I think it's really important to have that statistical information, but I'd like you to see all the wells that are on the list that have been monitoring, whether the person's there or not, they would still monitor. What information they have on those wells. And I also want to give you the information for the Payne and Dolan water monitoring information. I think that's important, and Brad's going to put it in a little packet for you. So I just wanted to give you that report that I have so far. Do you kind of agree that in the fall, the DPW guys continue doing the water levels, but then next year we start, I'll have more information about, what type of tests they did, what you want to see, and then we'd budget accordingly. Does that sound agreeable to the board at this point? You guys say yep?
That's all they've been doing is the water level
Right,
for,
quite a few years now.
yeah.
Yeah, none of the testing, so. But I really would like the information on what they found throughout the years on all the properties. I think we should have that in one separate file. And then, like I said, when we get all that information, when we have a meeting, Brad will put that in the packet, and then it'll be there for eternity.
Now, just one additional thought. I don't remember how many houses we were doing back then when we started doing it. But we had asked for homeowners to volunteer to let us come in and test the wells. I know I was the only one in this whole area that was having it done. Now, they stopped doing that back when I resigned from the board the last time. I didn't like the fact
That you resigned?
that I resigned. So he and Joe stopped stopping at our house. But I'd still like to have somebody look and see if we got reasonable coverage again.
Right.
You know?
And what I found is, in 2009, they had 69 properties on the list.
That's more than.
But like I said, what I'd like to do, Jim, and the board members is get, when this started, I'd like to get some historical information and data for you, that way, and it's in a, right. So I would, like I said, and unfortunately, I just ran out of time, but I'd like to look in the vault to see what information we might have there, and.
The additional thought that I had on it was potentially making the water quality test, voluntary by the homeowner to have them do that, and that they would pay for it, that the homeowner would pay for that
Yeah.
test. Because we weren't paying for it originally.
Oh, the village was not, or the residents weren't?
The residents were not, so the
Okay.
village bore the total cost. To me, that was a benefit. I don't know why we didn't have more people
Sign up?
for it.
Yeah, if you'd asked my wife, yeah, I'll pay to test my water, yeah.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
But we could make that as an option.
I know strategically that when this was established, you went in all the sections of Vernon and
Yeah.
had multiple sections, and I know there might have been a couple more near the Cajun property, which is,
Right.
because there was,
And there was the
Concerns.
concern of the high volume wells
Right.
going in.
yes, the high capacity, yes, yeah.
I-
So like I said, more information to come, gentlemen, just to let you know where we're at on that. And if you can think of anything else that you'd like us to look up, call Brad. 662, no, I'm sorry.
But when you ask them for the records, ask typically how often they see a change in water quality or something. Is it like once every 5 years, enough to test a well, or is it, what's their recommendations?
Right. Get some, yeah, there's some pretty good information in that, like I said, I'd like to get it together and have you take a look at. And she said too that there are so many different types of water testing, and without knowing what we did before and what we might need, I figured once we got the information of what we did before and what we possibly should be doing, not that it wasn't done previously, I'm just not sure, what the village actually, I know they always tested the levels of the water, which is important. But as Jim said, they also did water tests. So I just hope to God they have all that information, because without going into the vault, I don't know what we have here, but we'll look, right, Brad?
I know the water levels are kept on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of water levels, a little off topic here, but when the new bridge goes in, are they going to put a sensor in the river for water level heights where
Well,
they monitor it?
we'll talk about that when we get to the center bridge. Is that okay?
Okay,
Because I got yelled at for not staying on top.
it's water levels.
All right, gentlemen, so what we'll do is I'll get some more information. Brad and I will get some more information for you, and we'll get that back on the agenda. Brad, did you want to add anything to that? Gentlemen, would you mind doing a deviation to hear the sheriff's report? Because the lieutenant is here. Is there any objection to deviating from the agenda to ask the sheriff's department members, representatives for their report? Is there any objection? I don't see any objection. Ward or Lieutenant Cologne, did you want to give us a report?
Other than the recent festivities that we had, do you have anything else to add? I think it's did well. I didn't hear any additional complaints or whether any normal traffic issues, parking issues, but I think it was pretty well.
The posted signage really makes a difference down there on the roads.
Sounds good. Gentlemen, I know this is a report and got chastised from the attorney, and you saw the sheriff's department's report. It was in your packet. So at this point, we want to thank you for your outstanding service and thank you for all your extra coverage on the Rumble. And I'm glad the event went well, and you have a great day, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're back on the agenda, guys. And Brad, you're going to handle the Waukesha County tax agreement issue.
This is just an agreement with the county to collect our property taxes. We've done this several times. I don't remember what, I think there are 3-year frequencies.
Yeah.
Things like that. And so just updated one. We did ask the attorney about it in our call, and he's not reviewing it for anybody else. So it's a boilerplate agreement through the county.
Do we have any choice?
No,
I mean, really?
we don't.
We don't.
The county, the county does every municipality's tax bill.
Right.
Well, they don't print all.
Oh, they don't print all of them?
No, I think Waukesha's
They don't have to print mine.
opted out.
Oh, and you're right, maybe Menominee Falls.
Yeah, a couple of communities have opted out.
But we're not doing it.
But
They provide us much benefit by doing that. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes you guys don't care in the scene, but you guys don't see that we can track your tax bill. So if any of you call me and say, well, I haven't got my tax bill, and you go, where is it? We can go out there and kind of see where it is, not like UPS or Amazon, but we can track it to where it potentially is.
So at this point on the agenda, I would make a motion to approve the Waukesha County tax agreement and authorize the village president to sign said agreement. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Brad, the next agenda item is not an issue, so we can skip that one. That's all resolved. There wasn't an issue, but we thought there was an issue, but there's not an issue. So now, Brad is going to give us a Center Bridge update, and then Jeff, when he gives us an update, you can ask your questions. Brad?
So not too much update. We've gotten the amendments to the design work taken care of through the state, and they're working on that. We do need to have like a public officials meeting at some point. We're going to try to have that in August. You guys, that's where we'll invite you guys and the DOT and all the other responsible people that need to show up. Just to kind of go over the project. Probably be a very quick meeting. I know the DOT had one a couple weeks ago for 164 by, as you're coming up the hill north of Artesian, and it was about 12 minutes long or something. It was reported to me. So we'll be quick. Should be a fairly quick meeting. Next month or next meeting, we'll have a contract for the road work for surveying, which is kind of one of the next steps for the road project. So we'll have that, and they're going to start to get out there and redo those soil borings for the bridge, and probably at the same time do soil borings for the road.
Now you can ask any question you want because it's on the agenda. Gentlemen?
Brad, was it ever discussed about a water height monitoring system installed by the bridge? Because here in Vernon, we have a dam in Waterford and a dam in Waukesha, and we get trapped in the middle. I know they have a sensor down in Waterford by their dam that regulates the flow over the dam, but I'm not sure what's upstream here for them to know we're getting flooded out to open the dam up more down in Waterford, or,
Sorry.
yeah.
That's an act of God,
Yeah.
opening the dam in Waterford.
Well, it's regulated, I've gone around and around with them. It's supposed to be regulated, the height's regulated by the DNR, they say. So that the village or whatever has no say in what the height is or anything, but I know it'd be helpful if we had some type of height sensor here in Vernon.
I think there might be one on
There-
in Big Bend on that bridge, right by the Lions Club. I think there's a sensor there.
I think they're supposed to be, but I don't think it's operable.
Yeah, I mean, we could, I mean, probably I don't know what electronic one would be, and since there's probably not one there now, it would, funds would, you'd have to probably
That might be something more for the Fox River.
Commission.
commission. But I mean, I think it'd be fairly cheap and fairly easy to, if we put in, we could talk to the engineers to see if they could put in some type of, non-electronic measuring mark so that we,
Sign.
yeah, with a measuring, that's set there, that would be a good,
Well, you know what we'll do is
good tool.
we'll put this on the next agenda, so we're not,
I-
segueing from Center Drive to another bridge.
I know the DPW guys in the past had a mark on one of the telephone poles that they could
I'll call
gauge the river,
Brian.
the height by, yeah.
There's a little sign on that post, and I always look at that to see where the water level is in relation to the bottom of that sign.
Let me call Brian. Boy, if anybody knows Brian Garrett. would
Yeah,
know.
he would probably.
And then, like I said, we'll find out more information about that, Jeff, and put that on the agenda.
I mean, since they're could be doing a whole new bridge, it'd be easy to add that in there, I would think, somehow.
Sounds good. Brad, anything else on the Center Bridge update?
That's it.
That's it? Gentlemen, no further questions on that item? Okay, the next agenda item is newsletter articles. Mine's almost done, and
I haven't heard from anybody else, so we're gonna fill up the rest of them with just, general articles, and I'll work with President Shu on filling in any of the other blank stuff with the village that needs to get in, but we'll try to hit one for, each department to have something in there, and Dylan, I think you said you had potentially something, and,
Yeah, I'll write something quick. It'll be small though.
oh, that's fine, they can be small, quick articles, so, but if anybody has anything, just let me know and try to get it to me in the next week, and then, like I said, we'll hopefully get this approved on the 3rd, and then get to print and be out the first part of September, first week of September.
did Mike Solecki get you? He's going to put everything on one page.
He hasn't, it, I'll remind
Okay,
him.
okay. I just want to make sure that way it takes up a page, and just in case we're late on the others, he's got everything in there. I mean, he can repeat it, but I want him to put what's left for this year, what's on next year. I mean, it's just dates, so. Does that sound good, Brad?
Yep.
I would say one thing that could be an article, if not in the newsletter, and you said something was put in the taxes last year? Mm-hmm. Remember. Now that I'm on the Vernon board and the new assessments came in, looks like my taxes are gonna go way up. No, that's not. We'll adjust the mill rate and it'll come back down to about where it is. But I explained that only 20% of the taxes you're paying actually goes to Vernon
I don't even
out of
think
the
it's.
tax bill. And so it'd be nice if people had some rule of thumb. They could, we're only,
Yeah.
20% of the tax bill goes to Vernon.
Yep, we'll do
The
a
rest
graph.
is all broken up between the other things. Now, there's a lot of people, you'll send it out, they'll never read it, so
Oh, but
they'll
if
give you
put-
the same question.
We'll put a
but-
graph in the newsletter. That'd be real easy to do. This is your tax bill. Here's the school. Here's the county.
Yeah, yeah,
Here's
and
Vernon.
school's the big one.
Yeah, here's Vernon.
Yeah, just 20% of it, so.
Yeah, so Brad, remind us, we'll put that graph.
That's
in.
generous, the 20%.
Yeah, I know it is.
Gentlemen, the next agenda item I put on the agenda, just in case something had transpired, I did talk to President Bob Stigler from the Village of Waukesha, and, and he had said that his board is still talking, about what they'd like to do. They're working on their issues, and, because he was a little bit surprised that it came to our board before and I did ask that,
Yeah, I know,
beforehand.
yeah.
So he's working with his board, and thank the village of Vernon for at least considering it, and then his board's gonna talk, and then they're gonna talk, and so there's really no motion needed on this, but it kind of segues into the next item. Bob felt really bad at the time when Jim and Carl were working so hard with the Village of Waukesha and trying to address some of the issues related to the fire department. in the village of Waukesha, several things had happened to their municipality that Bob was so overwhelmed, and then he had personal issues that he felt terrible, that he said, I did walk away, but he had said that if I would have had to take one more item, he would have walked. So he apologized, and he would love the committees to, get together and start talking about whatever the committees, felt it would, is appropriate. I know John mentioned in his letter, and I can get that, I'll email it to Dylan and Jim, because we do have a border agreement with Waukesha, and it does say, 2 members, which we have 2 members of our board, and it said for shared services, 1 should be from the Plan Commission, which I don't think, first of all, Jim's got a ton of experience on Plan Commission, and if there is something Plan Commission related, they can just convey that to the board, but I just wanted, the board to formally authorize Jim and Dylan to start discussions with the Village of Waukesha and Village of Big Bend on whatever you guys feel is appropriate for discussions. Like I said, a lot of this stuff might be long-term, but at least you guys can put an agenda together and see what we need to talk about as communities. Is that agreeable to the board?
Do you need a motion on it?
Yeah, I would, just so that there's, something from the board authorizing trustees Jim Solani and Dylan Newman to start discussing shared services with the Village of Big Bend and the Village of Waukesha. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Like I said, gentlemen, if you need any help with agendas, Brad's there for you. Yeah.
I can do agendas, all right, but
Yeah.
we need the primary contacts.
Right, and I'll find out from Bob, and I think at this point,
Bob who Bob?
Bob Stigler is the president
okay.
for the village.
He's in Waukesha.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Jeff Goodman is the president. For now, I would like you gentlemen, I'm going to send you their phone numbers and
That's
their
what I
cell
want.
numbers and their emails. That way you can talk to them. And I did tell them your first meeting, I'd sit in the audience, not in the third, I'd sit in the audience, because oh my gosh, and I said, everything's going to be perfect. So, but I'll get you the contact information, and when you're doing your agendas, Jim, keep them open, put more items. You might not get to them, but at least that way you're covered and nobody can say, hey, that wasn't on the agenda. It's right here. Sound good, gentlemen?
Yepper.
Is there any discussion that's on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It was unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll get that contact information to both you gentlemen, and then if you wouldn't mind working with the village presidents, that would be great.
Yeah, I know Goodman, Jeff, real well, because
Yeah.
that's who I was working with.
Yes, that's right.
He was one of the 3 guys from Big Bend,
And I don't know who their people are, so maybe and I didn't ask Bob or Jeff that,
Right.
but maybe if they haven't done that, they could get that done internally. But at least, I'd like the discussion coming from either of
Right.
you two. Does that sound good, gentlemen? I'm not trying to yell, but sound good, guys? All right, gentlemen, now we're going to schedule our next staff meeting. And we usually do it at 1:30. Gosh, and I forgot John's email. Let's see. I know we all saw, is 1:30 in the afternoon, does that work for board members?
Yeah.
It does?
There, I can see my screen.
Let me just pull up John's. I know Sean, and I'm not sure if we're going to need, Sean, but what was I going to say? I thought it'd be nice to ask, Sean, what dates worked for him also.
I think he said that
Everything that,
anything that John,
yep. So he said the 21st at 1 o'clock, the 23rd at 1:30, the 24th at 1:30, the 25th at 1:30, or the 30th at 1.
This is July or
August.
August?
And the 22nd, we have Board of Review, so we can't do anything that day.
That's a Tuesday.
Yes. The 21st is a Monday, or Mondays I'd like to get it sooner than later.
Monday's fine.
Right now, doesn't matter.
Jim, the 21st, Gary, Monday, the 21st. Brad, do you have anything on the 21st?
Friday, good day for me.
So
Fine for me.
is that okay? Gentlemen, I'm going to make a motion to establish the next staff meeting for Monday, August 21st at 1 o'clock. Is there a second to that motion?
1 o'clock or 1:30?
1:30, I'm sorry, gentlemen, 1:30. Sorry, Jeff.
I'll second.
Discussion, gentlemen. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Brad, I'm going to let you take over on the peddler permit applications.
So before us, we have 12 or 11 peddler permit applications. With that being said, I don't think you guys have gotten a ton of these in the past. They filled out all of the required paperwork, including applications. We ran background checks that were in there. Nobody had anything. We even went as far as following up with them to see if they had anything that was from out of state, and they all acknowledged no. We did call other communities that they've had license in, specifically Village of Richfield. They said they've had really no issues with them. While they've been there, they read a reminder one time they were still out soliciting one time after their permit had expired, but they were very respectful of it and ceased. So it's one of those things there. So there's really nothing here that would prohibit them from not getting the license, and we're recommending that they do. Each of them did pay $250 for the license, which will be good for 30 days. If you guys do approve this, they'll be given cards that say, or licenses that show that they've received one, and then we'll also put these on our website so that people are there. We do get calls probably once a month, once every 3 weeks, especially during the warmer months, for people coming around to ask, they'll say, hey, I had somebody come to my door, do they have a peddler's permit? We'll tell them, please refer to our website, because there's a section where they've been posted in the past, and we'll post these up there and say, hey, they're good through this time. So
Refresh my memory. What's Aptiva Environmental?
they're like Batzner or stuff like that. So they
okay.
spray rodents, insects,
All right.
things of that nature.
Okay.
Cub Scouts? No, I'm
Are there any peddler permits issued at the current time?
Nope.
No, we haven't issued any peddler permits in a couple of years at least.
Right? Jim's right.
No, in general, I'm against our authorizing people to peddle stuff, primarily. That's allowing them to go invade somebody else's privacy. And I don't particularly like that. If they want to talk to them, they can call them, but, to me, standard. However, if we're a mind of thinking about denying this, then we need to postpone this, or table it or whatever, so we have an opportunity to talk with our attorney. Because there's some legal issues about denying it.
Okay.
No, as long as they're willing to do all the paperwork and pay the fees, I don't have a problem with issuing
You
a
don't?
permit, yeah. Even though I don't like when they come to the door, but rather have them do it legally than,
And we haven't done it for 2 years. I've had a couple people come to my doors over the last.
Right, and I know Brad, too, mentioned all the places he's going to post this. I know he'll also send those picture things to the sheriff's department so they have it for their records, because people will call and say, hey, even though they have the Vernon badge with their picture, they're still going to call. And just a reminder, if you don't want anybody at your door, you can always post no trespassing signs. And then no matter if we grant them a permit or not, if you have a no trespassing sign on your property, people aren't supposed to come to your property.
That might be something we'd like to put into the newsletter.
Yes.
That
And you know what I'll do is I'll quote the state statute on it, too. Does that sound good, gentlemen?
I think I'll just put no trespassing sign on my driveway. Everybody stay away, yeah.
Leave me
In the
alone.
driveway.
So, gentlemen, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the peddler permit applications for James Sadworth, Stanley Bringler Allman, Garrett Farnger, Austin Manwill, Brendan Watson, Eli Williams, Caleb Ulich, Braden Temple, Samuel Siegmiller, Scott Clark, and Jacob McCune. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Discussion. No, I don't have it up. You want me to get it up? Oh, Oh, okay. Let me just, hold on, we just want to verify. You know what, I checked off every single one because I was going to do a background check in the other states. But you got that? Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't anybody else that I saw, Brad, that wasn't in your packet. Let me just. Shoot. Oh. Oh, Braden Temple. Oh yeah, and any additional applicants, just a friendly amendment, Jim, if there's no objection, and if there is an additional applicant that wasn't named on the agenda, to approve that person also. Is there any
Separately?
objection to that,
No,
gentlemen?
I'd agree with that.
Okay, Brad, that way if you did, but I thought I checked each one of these, so. Sound good? All in favor of the any discussion on the motion? How rude. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, gentlemen, I am going to defer to my trustees to see if they'd like to give their report. Jim, you want to jump in there?
No, I have nothing new.
Gary, do you have a report?
No, my suggestion I was gonna bring up now, but it was earlier about the tax bill, being explaining that and stuff like that, so you covered that, so I think I'm done for now.
Thank you, Gary. Dylan, do you have any report?
Nothing.
Jeff?
I had one resident ask me if we were considering doing a dumpster for Saturday morning branch and yard waste consideration, which I told them we haven't even discussed that, but it might be something to consider for, instead of brush pickup, having a dumpster on site for it.
We'll put that on the agenda, Jeff, next agenda. That sound good?
All right.
Sure.
Anything else, Jeff, on your report?
That's it.
Okay, my report, I know Matt's gonna be mad when I read this, but I have to read this. Not Matt, my son. Excuse me. This is a letter of commendation. On March 29, 2023, officers responded to the intersection of Highway 59 and South West Avenue for a report of an injury accident. Matthew Chaika was on the scene and a witness that the crash involved a semi-truck and a four-door sedan. Mr. Chaika stopped to provide assistance as he's an off-duty firefighter EMT for the village of Vernon. Mr. Chaika located a 6-year-old child, I'm gonna cry, in the back seat of the car of the sedan, which was in direct line of the semi-truck. Without hesitation, Mr. Chaika used his training and provided care to the child, which included supporting her head and spine. Mr. Chaika quickly alerted arriving officers that the child was going in and out of consciousness and needed immediate medical treatment. Mr. Chaika was able to provide immediate medical care to the victim, which gave the child the best chance of survival. The Village of Waukesha and the Police Department would like to extend their deepest appreciation to Matt for what he has done, and the child's outcome was very good. And I know Matt, I've known him since he's been a little boy, but I know he was embarrassed by that. But I thought, God, you hear about all the junk in today's, and I thought, what a great tribute to our people in the fire department. The next item I have is Brad and I met with the Village of Mugwanago's President Wachowski, Administrator Fred Schnook, and Aaron Schaff, the planner in regards to the Hein development. We're not 100% sure, unless Brad has heard today, if the developer is going to go through with the Vernon portion, the developer is going to go through with the Mugwanago portion. Brad's working with the developer. But we had a great meeting, I thought. Did you think so, Brad, with the Village of Mugwanago, and have a good rapport? So maybe someday we'll start even, discussions with the Village of, but it ended on a great note. It was a great meeting, and we're waiting to see what's going to happen from here, but just wanted to let you know that we met with them yesterday, and I was glad to have a good rapport, and hopefully we'll continue that with the Village of Mugwanago, and also would like to start, at least extend that to, I'd like to talk to the town chairman in Mugwanago if there's anything he would like to talk about also, so we're just working with our neighbors. I haven't worked on any of the cities yet, but just wanted to have a good rapport with all of our neighbors, if that sounds good to the board. I also have had several phone calls with the Village of Big Bend's president, Village of Waukesha. They're looking forward to working together, so you two gentlemen are going to be jumping on that one, right, guys? And then, so far I've logged 41 phone calls. And I can't imagine what the village staff and Brad has gone through with assessments. And we're just encouraging residents to please, please, please call the assessors, talk to them about your open book assessment. Sometimes there can be mistakes, but the assessor should be able to prove to the residents how they arrived at that assessment. And then if there's no agreement, then obviously within, you want to file your board of review forms with Brad, our clerk administrator. But I just implore residents to please, please call our assessors, meet with them open book, ask them for their documentation, because they should be able to prove to you, why our assessments are the way they are. And we were at 80.17 last year, so the need for this was critical in regards to getting our values to where they're supposed to be. Unfortunately, we'll probably get our tax bills and they'll drop 2 points. Don't you think, Jim? That's
Probably.
But just wanted, and then Alex had a couple 2022 budget items I'm helping him with and keeping Brad involved. And as I stated, working with, was in contact with Ward continuously through Rumble by the River, and as they stated, it went great, and I'm glad the Rumble went well. And I got a couple good leads, Brad, on some webinars for some road grant money that if you work with another municipality, they really like that. So, I'll keep you posted on what I find out, and that's all I have, gentlemen.
Karen, can I add something?
Yes, under your report, yes, you can.
I'd say also with your current tax assessment, if you go on Zillow, it has prices of what they think your home is worth, and they were a little bit more than what I was assessed at, and same with a lot of my neighbors. So if you're in question it, take a look at that and see what they have you assessed at.
I think they see the assessment.
Gary, are you doing another part of your report?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you can add
I'm
to your
done.
report.
Oh, okay. But it's just, if they see your house went up $100,000 and it's like 30% more, they think they're going to pay 30% more in taxes.
Right.
That's their argument. They don't realize we're going to adjust the mill rate down, so their taxes are going to be about the same, or only up a little bit, But that's why it should be the explanation to the people.
Right. Brad,
You've covered a lot. We had a meeting with
sorry.
the village of McGuanago, which is good. I thought it went very well. Also, a lot of positivity. Talked to Newman today, and they definitely want to start working on it. We were told they want to work on the McGuanago stuff, but I think from what I've heard previously and today, I still think it's at the same point. It's all going to come down to timing, and I think for us and them, it's just a lot of it's timing, and I think it's beneficial if we get going now. So I know that's there. The next step is Fred and myself. Fred Schunk from McGuanago, Aaron, their planner, myself are going to try to work and get a timeline set up. We'll work with Newman on that, and then next step from there will be kind of a meeting with Newman to go over here. This is where everything is. I think our discussion on sewer and water may get pushed up sooner rather than later to provide some confidence to Newman. But as we work through that, we can, that's should be simpler than trying to create a new utility district and everything where it's just McGuanago providing the services. So it's been a lot of calls on the assessment. It open book today was fairly steady from 9 to noon today, 9 to 11:30. It was fairly steady. Then after that, it was a little slower. But we've been encouraging everybody just call the assessor, talk to him on the phone. Doesn't have to be in person, and things like that. And you won't see much change from the village portion of your tax bill. We can't speak to the school and the county and the tech college, but based on state statutes, I don't see much change in what we're going to levy for taxes this year. So that's all that we had, and we've just been busy with the audit and reconciliations. And one final note is we did get our bill for the road work. It's all completed over there. The good news is it came in under budget by about $3,000 from what the bid was. And the good news to that is they did do some extra saw cuttings over there, and there was extra material that was used in spots to, keep the road a uniform width instead of varying as it went through. And so we came in about $3,000 under budget. So it was pretty good on a project that was bid out with a different staff member and then carried out with different staff and everything. So it turned out really good, and I think it went fairly smoothly over that time.
Great. Thank you, Brad. Gentlemen, now we are on, you got the fire department's, I'm sorry, that was emailed, Brad emailed that to you today.
Yep.
And Brad, you're going to put that in the packet.
It was in the packet I emailed. I
Okay.
emailed to you guys.
Oh, no, yeah, you did, earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're just doing so much then. All right, gentlemen, now we are on accounts payable for July 20th, 2023. And Brad, just in the accounts payable, you explained to me where it says manual check, that really is the ACH checks?
So this is the first check run with Workhorse. So, as we go through the process, if there's stuff you guys want to see, different information or presented differently, I'm more than happy to do that. On about a half dozen of those or a dozen of those, there was checks that said manual checks.
Yeah.
On Workhorse, that's how you differentiate out ACH payments. So it's been one of those things where that's how it shows it out. So that's where you see the manual check. So when we have our section that says approval of manual checks, it's not approving those checks. It would still be the old process of manual checks, but just in Workhorse, manual check means
ACH.
payment.
Okay.
I had no questions.
I have one only. I
Jim?
went through it in excruciating detail. I don't remember the invoice number, but it was for $94 for a mailbox that it looks like we installed,
Yeah.
right? As I recollect, we used to allow $50 for a mailbox, and then we increased it, but we didn't increase it to $94.
We changed the policy to 75 or we install, and so this was a we install one.
Oh, I didn't
Oh, I didn't know that you could do that.
catch the we install changing the price.
That's our cost.
That was our.
That's what it costs us to put it in.
That was our
Yeah.
cost to put it in, but not the,
Home Depot or wherever they buy the parts from determines whatever it costs.
Yeah, but we said we would pay $75.
yeah, so the homeowner gets the option of $75. They get the $75, or we install, and so the $94 was our cost to purchase the post and the mailbox.
See, I didn't consider that when we made that new ruling.
You want that back?
Who in their right mind would not have us install it then?
Out of all the
Because
mailboxes,
it costs us more than that, because we're also paying for the guys to actually do the work.
out of all the mailboxes we hit, that was the only one that took it out.
Really?
God, how many did we hit, Brad?
Oh,
It was quite a few.
that one time he was plowing out there, he was the right thumb.
Oh, there's Brad, there's Brad.
Nothing on it yet. I think we had maybe 10 or 12, or no more than 10 this year. We did have a lot of, and it's always hard to, with the wet snow we had this winter, you had a lot more, not necessarily damage from us, but a lot more calls. And then on one of those last storms, there was coincidentally, there was a group of people that were out there hitting mailboxes with bats or some type of object, just at the same time we had finished up a storm or during a storm. And so there was that. Now, none of those mailboxes were paid for by us, but, so like I said, out of all the events we had, 10 or, less than 10 mailboxes that we hit or done stuff to. We had a couple where the truck had gone into the ditch and we had to go out and fix that stuff, but like I said, we only paid the one. I'd have to look at the guy and see what mailbox they bought. 94 seems a little, usually the post is about 45 and the mailbox is 30, so I don't know what.
Unless you're in Morningstar, then you're talking hundreds.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I was curious about it, because some people have some pretty fancy schmancy, and we're not going to replace it the same way.
No, our standard says just to, for like a 4x4 post and the, approved, USPS mailbox.
Right.
So, and I'm going to put that on the staff agenda, just to talk about it. you know,
Yeah,
'cause
I don't know if they, well, maybe you were there, Dylan, when we
changed it?
when we
Yeah, I was
changed it,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never realized we had the option of installing it for them.
Right. I don't know if that's good or bad, because this is the first I've understand it.
That
Yeah.
was there before. We just kind of continued that. The only thing we changed was the,
Was the amount we
we
would pay.
we never installed them before. I know
Yeah, I
for a
don't-
fact
Yeah, I
we
never remembered.
Never heard of either before.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we can talk about it at staff. Does
Yeah,
that
that'd
sound
be a
good,
good
gentlemen?
topic for us.
All righty. So, hearing that, are there any, before, and does somebody want to make a motion that we can discuss them further, or is there a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount? I'm trying to get to the total.
Yes.
I'm pulling it up, Brad, unless you have it right there. You don't have it either? It's populating.
I'll make that motion to approve our current batch at the stated total.
Let's get in there.
Need that number on the first page.
Yep. Now, you think I'm waiting. It's
What's on the
populating.
first
Just wait. It's batch, Jim, you said batch 2023 06, 07, 20.
07, yeah,
And
yes.
the amount of, Sue, do you remember that total? Come on. It's still populating. I'm sorry, gentlemen. We need faster service.
Mine was up. but it's
I think
gone.
it's $67,522.20.
522.20. So Jim, that was your motion. Is there a
Yep.
second to that motion?
It says total expenditure from all funds, so.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch. We have a motion made and seconded. We got it. Sorry, Brad.
Did I get it right?
Jim-
$67,522.20?
Yes.
And then Jim made the motion, trustee Slaney made the motion, and trustee Finch seconded the motion. Discussion, gentlemen? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Yay! And then, gentlemen, C, we're going to have to change that. And the next agenda item, we have all the ACH transactions from February to June, so we'll put that on the next agenda because we already did January. And then we have the accounts receivable aging report. Nothing to do on that. Just wanted you to see where we're at as far as, and that's as far as last week. People could have paid since then. So that's all we have on accounts receivable. With that, should we jump into minutes, gentlemen, of approval? I'd make a motion to approve May 18th, 2023 Village Board. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Is there a motion to approve June 1st Village Board minutes?
So moved.
By trustee Millies, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Trustee Slaney, discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. June 15th, 2023 Village Board, there are some little tiny changes. Brad's got those all corrected, and they're before you now, so I'd make a motion to approve the June 15th, 2023 Board minutes. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve June 26, 2023 Village Board minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by trustee Slaney. Trustee Millies made that motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve July 6, 2023 Village Board minutes? Is there a motion to that effect? I'll make that motion. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion. Discussion. Jim, are you abstaining?
Yes, I am.
Jim and trustee Slaney is abstaining. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It was approved 4 and 1 abstention for an approval. Just a reminder, we have our village board meeting August 3rd and 17th. We have a joint plan commission, that is still joint, right, Brad?
Yes.
The August 9th, village board and plan commission, where we have a public hearing on the wetland modifications. We have Board of Review, August 22nd at 5 PM. It begins at 5 PM. And September 13th, 2023, have a public hearing on the comprehensive land use plan amendments it's all near the Siege baseball, paintball place and in that particular area. It's just not a full-blown, but a little comprehensive land use plan in that area. Is there, yes, Jim?
Yeah, I do have a question on the, what is it, I think August 9th meeting on the wetland language modifications? Are we going to see the modifications before then?
I can email them to
Yeah,
you.
I think Sean has them all put together.
Yeah, in fact, even if they're redlined, I'll send them out.
Okay,
Brad will send them
We'll
out.
send them out.
because
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to see it
Yeah.
before the public
Yeah,
meeting.
he did, we did have them in the plan commission, but they went from 20 to 15. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off the agenda, but we'll get those to you gentlemen right away.
Okay.
Does that sound good, gentlemen? Is there a motion to adjourn? Oops,
So moved.
the motion by Sue Fisher, no. Trustee Millies, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch, discussion, gentlemen. Jim, come on, let's discuss this. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. And Sue.
Doesn't always go.
I got to say one thing there.